October 10th, Chris Green. Welcome to 365 Christian Men, where every day we aim to inspire and encourage with real-life stories about men. Chris Green rescues children around the world. He founded Vision for the Children International, which provides proactive and preventative care for at-risk children and their families. Because more than 80% of the 150 million UNICEF orphans in the world actually have a living parent, his group finds ways to change the conditions which force parents to abandon their children. Chris's group operates transitional living centers for abandoned mothers and children and provides safe, healthy after-school programs. They also reach out by means of kids' club programs, village outreach ministries, and various summer and holiday programs. On this date, in 2018, Chris purchased computers for 400 at-risk kids in northern India.
When God calls, get ready for a powerful adventure. In a village in northern India, a computer classroom sat empty, with the walls painted a bright blue color and boasted with power strips above hand-built desks. Christ followers had established the school for 400 children, and the community was very grateful for the quality of education they would receive. There was only one problem. There were no funds for the computers that would prepare their students for success beyond the school walls. Staff, students, and teachers prayed for computers. On the other side of the world in Colorado, Chris Green returned from launching a computer lab in India. 8 years before, God had called Chris and his wife Monique out of their, quote, comfortably numb American life to adopt 2 siblings from the Ukraine. After that, God told Chris that was just the beginning. He asked Chris if he would say yes if he called him again. Chris took a deep breath and said, "Whatever it is you ask me to do, I'll say yes, no matter how uncomfortable it is." God prompted Chris to start a nonprofit organization called Vision for the Children International. Their mission is to serve at-risk children around the world. Chris chose to be obedient to the Lord's calling. Now, after 8 years of working full-time as a manager at FedEx and simultaneously leading Vision for the Children, Chris was beginning to burn out. He felt like he was carrying too much. In April, as Chris considered shutting down Vision for the Children, a church friend asked Chris and Monique to host Arav, an Indian man scheduled to speak. Chris said yes. He was immediately drawn to Arav's quick smile. Like Chris, Arav was on a powerful adventure to help at-risk kids. Chris told Arav that his organization was focused on connecting at-risk kids to a loving community through computer learning centers called CLCs. The men enjoyed their visit and parted ways. In early summer, Arav learned about the school in northern India, who for nearly 3 years had been praying for computers. Remembering his conversation, Arav called Chris. Seeing God making connections like this energized Chris. He learned that the school needed $6,000 for computers. Arav was soon going to India on business, so he volunteered to oversee the installation, saving Chris's nonprofit the expense of putting someone on the ground in India. But where would Chris get the funds? Vision for the Children didn't have the money, but Chris had promised that if God led, Chris would respond. So Chris gave Arav $1,000 in seed money, and Chris tried to raise the additional $5,000 on his own, but the money didn't come. He felt very confused. But God urged Chris to donate again. Donating more to the computer lab meant trusting God as bills came due in the months ahead. In faith, Chris decided to send an additional $2,000. After this, Vision for the Children received $2,500 in donation, and thankfully their needs were met. But Chris still needed $3,000 to fully fund the computer lab. Discouraged, Chris told Arav to get whatever computers he could, maybe 6 or 8 of the 16 the school needed. He waited to see what God would do. In India, Arav and the school reconfigured how the computers would be used. Now they could run the lab with only 10 computers. There wasn't enough money for 10, but Arav would do what he could. When he went to buy the computers, he negotiated a deal. All 10 computers for $2,800, $200 less than what Chris had sent them. 5 days later, CLC was finally able to launch. 3-prong cords filled the once empty electrical sockets, bringing the computers to life. And the bright blue computer lab was now filled with excited children ready to learn. When Arav told Chris, he was overjoyed at the news. It was a weight off of his shoulders. Chris realized that his responsibility was simply to say yes to God's prompting, and that God would take care of the rest. "It's mind-boggling," Chris said. "When I was at my lowest, wanting to quit, God did miraculous things for kids through Vision for the Children. I don't go out searching for these things, but God brings them." Chris posted this scripture where he could see it often as a reminder. Isaiah 60:22. "At the right time, I, the Lord, will make it happen." Have you heard God calling you? Are you ready to say yes? When God calls, get ready for a powerful adventure.
Welcome 365 Christian Men. Today is October 10th and I'm coming to you from Jerusalem. Today, Chris Green's story shows us the simplistic ways in which God works in our lives. And maybe more importantly, it shows us the ways he works through our lives. Isn't it amazing that our God, the God that created the heavens and the earth and everything that's in them, allows us to come alongside him and to partner with him in his work? This is what I mean. Jesus, as he's declaring his job description in Luke chapter 4, he's quoting Isaiah chapter 61, says, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me, Jesus, to proclaim freedom to the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, and to set the oppressed free, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's good favor." This is Jesus's job description, and this is what Jesus did. But it's also what Jesus is still doing to this very day. And we see this in Chris Green's story. We're reminded of it as we look across the face of the earth today. All of the different Christian outreaches and ministries and care programs that are taking place on the earth today by Christians and by the church, this is Jesus at work. And he's allowing mankind, he's allowing you and me, men that love him, to come alongside him and to participate in his work. It reminds me of my dad when I was a kid growing up. My dad would invite us out to the garage to help him fix the cars. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. It was his work and he did all the work, but he allowed us to participate. And in that participation, I learned the work, but more importantly, I became like him, like my father. And this is exactly what God does. He invites us to partner with him in this amazing world-changing, salvation-bringing work worldwide. And so the challenge is simple for us today, guys. All you have to do is say yes. Would you be willing to say yes to God's invitation to partner with him? He does the work. That's the secret. You don't have to do anything. He does the work, and all we get to do is participate with what he's doing. He does the heavy lifting. And I promise you, if you say yes to that invitation, you won't be disappointed. Your life is going to change forever. Will you say yes today?